Hi, I'm Betsy Martin, and I'm a member of the Video Club of Laguna Woods. Our club is 25 years old. We're about half the age of our village, and with over 100 members. We love people to come and visit us. We're between Clubhouse 2 and the pool. Any level of skill is welcome, and there are no dumb questions. There's nothing that, if you don't know it, don't be afraid to come in. Somebody will always be there to help you. We're open from 1 to 4, Tuesdays through Fridays, and we love to help people. We love to see people happy using our equipment and learning. We want you to use the equipment and become proficient at it and feel good about yourself about it. We have 3 tracks. We have general video, which is any level of skill. We have classes that teach video editing, how to shoot video. We use a book called How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck. That's the actual name of the book. We have monthly meetings. We have special interest groups, monthly project day. That's become a lot of fun. People have their projects that they've finished or they're in the process of making, and they get feedback and constructive suggestions. Another track is our studio. It's a professional studio with lights, sound, backdrops. People have used it to do biographies of people. We've done our Remarkable Lives series there. We've done hundreds of videos on veterans, which is part of the Library of Congress project. And all of those videos are now cataloged with the Library of Congress. We use it for TV productions, and again, it's people who are skilled in cameras, professional cameras and lighting. Those are the kinds of people who have used it, and you can get instruction. Another track, our 3rd track, we call our legacy track, and we provide the equipment for you to take your slides, your VHS tapes, and convert them to DVDs, CDs, make them into a digital format so they will last for a long time. And your grandkids and all the other kids in your family will appreciate it because they'll know how to use it. What are they going to do with paper and slides? They want to do it on their modern equipment. So we encourage you all to come to our lab, and our classes are on Mondays in the morning. We're open Tuesday through Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. Our general meetings are the 3rd Thursday of the month, 6:30 for refreshments, 7 o'clock for the program. Please find us on our website, the Video Club, and join us. Have fun. You'll learn. You'll meet friends, have fun. And I guarantee it. And I'm Betsy Martin of the Video Club.
Betty and I traveled to Iceland in September 2012 to join 6 others on a scenic photographic tour of the country. We were scheduled to leave from Reykjavik and travel clockwise around the country. For reference, Iceland is about the size of the state of Ohio. A storm hit when we were at Lake Mývatn, and we had to cancel the eastern portion of our trip. So we're just going to have to return one of these days to see what we missed. Our first day we traveled to a guest house in Hinjatur in the western fjords, passing through a town where Betty's father was stationed in the early days of World War II. Our first stop was at these basalt cliffs. The ground cover here was very thick and dense, and on closer inspection, it proved to be wild blueberries, and they tasted pretty good. We stopped at this boat harbor while waiting for a ferry to take us to the western fjords. It was early afternoon, the sky was clear, the water was still, and the colors were absolutely magnificent. There were a few inhabitants on these rocky islands. I imagine most of them were fishermen. This is an interesting lighthouse, and with that paint job you could see it from a long way off. As we were nearing our guest house, we came around a bend in the road to this beautiful scene. This is the first of the larger waterfalls that we saw. It cascaded down and down till it finally reached the ocean. This plant is aptly named. Those tufts looked exactly like cotton balls. This was a beautiful spot. Nothing around for miles but this old abandoned A-frame, which was filled with sheepskins and wool. How's this for $1 million view? One of our party wasn't feeling well, and while he was in seeing the doctor, the rest of us wandered around the area to take a few pictures. This ship went down in 1912. It's so rusty I think the paint's the only thing holding it together. These 1,400-foot cliffs are the westernmost point in Europe. We tried to get there for sunset, but we just missed it by a few minutes. Our second night at Hinjetour, we were treated to a beautiful aurora borealis display. This is one of my favorite shots. Light painting under northern lights. Here's Betty composing a shot. And here is her photo. These are called whooper swans. We came across these shepherds moving a flock of sheep across a river. Apparently in Iceland they round up all the sheep in the country once a year. The shepherd's dog was working a lot harder than the guys on horseback. This sheep was injured, and they brought him up onto the road and placed him into a van that looked like an ambulance for sheep. I think the shepherd enjoyed all the attention that we were giving him. Vivian got this great shot of them coming up the bank. After the shepherds had moved all the sheep across the river, they called their dog. She started to cross the river, and when she hit those rapids, I didn't know if she was going to make it. The Icelandic horse is a unique and beautiful breed. I think these guys were as curious about us as we were about them. Meet the boss. There are many small churches like this in Iceland, and I think the same architect must have designed all of them. This is a pretty good sized sheep operation. See if you can guess my favorite. I wonder if they have orthodontists for sheep. This fella's seen a few battles. These houses are from the late 1800s. The fronts are wood, but everything else is sod. These are the backs of the same houses. We had lunch here in Akureyri. It was Sunday and drizzling rain, so there weren't too many people out and about. It was still cold and rainy when we got to Godafoss, so we didn't spend too much time taking pictures there. That's me trying to keep my camera dry. There's a maze of pathways throughout these volcanic formations. That hole in the rock is big, probably about 12 feet high. Here we are in the wonderful, warm waters of the Maivatn nature baths. As we were getting out, it started snowing. This is the view out our cabin window at Lake Maivatn. the afternoon that we checked in. And here's the view the next morning. Betty took this picture of me while I was taking the next picture you're going to see. I took this video through the window of the lodge. You can see the snow blowing sideways and the rough water on the lake. There was no electricity at the lodge, and it was getting very, very cold. Fortunately for us, we were able to move to a nearby hotel where the town had undergrounded the utilities and there was no problem with power. We were warm and cozy at the hotel, but also stranded there because all the roads were closed. Dean is a professional photographer from Chicago, noted for his panoramas. Tim is a professional photographer who lives in Iceland and who is the leader of our group. Brett is a pro photographer and video producer from Michigan. David is an engineer from Israel. Atir is also from Israel and started medical school just after our trip ended. Vivian is an engineer from Australia. And then there's George and Betty, who are old enough to be these guys' parents. The snow stopped the following morning, and we were able to get out and take a few pictures. We learned later that this was the worst seasonal storm in 20 years, with winds of 90 miles an hour, power lines down all over the region. It even ripped up asphalt off some of the highways. Tim and his team worked miracles on short notice and rearranged the remainder of our tour. This is the parking lot in front of the hotel after the snow stopped. They call these super Jeeps. They're supposed to be able to go just about anywhere. We rode in this back to Akureyri. The weather was much better than our previous visit to Godafoss, so we stopped again for more photos. Now we're on the airplane for about a 45-minute flight back to Reykjavik. We arrived at our hotel just at sunset and saw this picture-perfect scene of a farm with Mount Hekla in the background. That evening, while waiting for more northern lights to show, we took some pictures of the Milky Way. It was so close you could almost reach out and touch it. Later that night, the lights did show. They were different from the first ones we saw, but still spectacular. This is one of several geysers in Iceland. It goes off every 5 minutes or so. Gullfoss is the largest waterfall that we saw. They say it can freeze over in the winter. This is the volcano that went off in 2010 and caused so much havoc with the flights in and out of Europe. And this is a beautiful farm right at its base. Skogafoss is 200 feet high. Vatnajökull is Europe's largest glacier, and as it has receded, it's left a lagoon or lake 600 feet deep. No, this isn't a giant bookcase. It's the Halley Country Hotel where we stayed. Betty took these sunrise photos around the hotel, while the rest of us went to photograph glacial ice on the beach. These photos were taken just before and right at sunrise. Vivian got this shot of me sitting on a 1,000-year-old piece of ice. And this is what I was taking. This is another view of the glacier and of a smaller lagoon. There are large areas of volcanic rocks that are covered by lichens and moss that can be 4 to 6 inches thick. Well, this is the end of our trip. A farewell dinner tonight in Reykjavik and home tomorrow.
After 2 days in Celle, we again took the train and went to Lindau at the Bodensee, known in English as Lake Constance. The old city hall in Lindau, built in 1422. This was our fourth time at this beautiful lake. It is Europe's second largest and surrounded by vineyards, orchards, and many small villages and towns, and on the south side by the Alps. The lake is bordered by Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Many picturesque harbors are home to 15 large excursion boats, which connect most towns and villages on a regular schedule. For 7 days, these ships served us as transport to all the sites which we visited. We used the 7-day pass, which allows unlimited travel on these boats. The next morning started out to be very foggy. Nevertheless, we took a boat to the little town of Wasserburg. Leaving Lindau Harbor, one can see the railroad station, which is located directly at the boat landings. Wasserburg is about a 1-hour boat ride north of Lindau and is our destination for the day. Once the early morning fog had lifted, the still snow-covered Alps became visible. After a wonderful lunch of white asparagus and fish from the lake, a stroll through town, and some refreshments, we took the boat back to Lindau. The next day started out sunny and clear, so we decided to go to one of the nearby mountain tops. While our boat was ready to leave the Lindau harbor, another one came to pick up passengers for a different destination. Our destination was the Fender, just 3,000 feet above Bregenz in Austria.
Arrival in Bregenz.
A cable car right close to the Bregenz harbor leads up to the top. At the top, it was not clear enough to see the whole lake, but we observed a blimp which takes passengers from its home port in Friedrichshafen for a flyover of the Bodensee. Friedrichshafen is the original location where Count Zeppelin invented and built the first airship. The factory is still in operation, building and maintaining airships for worldwide customers. In the meantime, a hawk came into view, overflying the meadows leading to the mountain top. A small zoo featured alpine animals such as deer, a mountain goat, ibex, and a family of boars with their very young ones. Back home from Bregenz to Lindau. On another beautiful morning, we took the boat over to Rorschach in Switzerland. After a short layover in Rorschach, we boarded another boat which would bring us to the river Rhine. The Rhine flows out of the mountains into the south end of the lake, flows through the Bodensee, and exits it in the north near the city of Constance. Our excursion boat took us about 10 miles upriver to the city of Rheineck and back to Rorschach. The city of Rheineck in Switzerland. Here, the boat turns around for the return trip. Homebound to Lindau via Wasserburg. Back in Lindau and on to our next destination.